This is not a happy couple. This is not a happy family. This is one of the weirdest, most creepy interactions I think we've seen yet.
They just look incredibly fake doing it. And they just look awkward. They look disinterested and really disconnected throughout sort of this whole really, really weird, strange video.
The only thing scary about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's Halloween video is the fact that they continue to pimp out their children and lie to the world about the state of not just their relationship, but their relationship with Meghan's own mother. So we got the very odd, very odd reel last night where people are shot from behind and Harry and Meghan are trying their best to show affection for each other. But I mean, look at that. They're so far apart, aren't they? And as Stephanie Sidley pointed out, Doria is back on the payroll. Meghan Markle is trying to overload our brains. Don't get distracted from what she did in Paris. And where the hell are those ducks? Very good point. From according to Taz, what a lonely existence. Even taking the kids to a pumpkin patch, they've clearly had it shut down just for them. There's no interaction of children running, playing, having fun. It's honestly creepy at this point, telling the kids to stand and turn their backs for photos. These two want to be taken seriously, and yet they do things like this. I mean, what 40 to 45-year-old wakes up, puts on a bed sheet and says, let's have a cameraman follow us in the garden and we play kiss and chase to show the world how in love we are. They look absolutely mental. And Meghan's own sister, Samantha Markle, had some fun with this one, posting Halloween again or on Continuum. In my opinion, while getting creative, they could at least tell the scary tale the right way. Some suggest that things have been spooky from the beginning. Once upon a time, and 7 years of darkness blanketed the kingdom, when a wicked witch mixed an alluring cauldron concoction, charmed everyone in the kingdom into her lair, entrancing all who swallowed it, which gave the witch the perfect opportunity to squeeze her beastly hoof into the dainty glass slipper and marry the gullible prince. I love it. And from Brittany of the Royal News Network, so if this pose is supposed to reflect a couple united, it fails pretty miserably. They could not be further apart, and they're also looking in different directions. The couple also made sure that there were no other peasants there to interfere with their pumpkin picking time. And Brittany is with me now. I mean, Brittany, look, it's the old cliche, isn't it? A picture tells 1,000 words. And as is so often the case with Harry and Meghan, the message that they think they're putting out into the world is so easy to immediately dismiss simply from looking at the interaction. This is not a happy couple. This is not a happy family. This is one of the weirdest, most creepy interactions I think we've seen yet.
Creepy is definitely the word here, Dan, for this whole interaction. The whole video, it's really, really bizarre, but them standing there is just so indicative of where they're at in their relationship. And it comes from trying so hard to sell this love story now, because it's getting much harder for them to sell it to each other, that they just look incredibly fake doing it. And they just look awkward. They look disinterested and really disconnected throughout sort of this whole really, really weird, strange video. And it comes from, they just keep trying, I don't know, to sell the perfect love story, the perfect family, whatever. But I really feel like it comes across as the opposite, especially when Marcus Anderson is also in that reel, who's Meghan's friend. And somehow he, I guess, has become Uncle Marcus, even though obviously these children have another uncle and aunt and another uncle and aunt beyond that, who they could be interacting, especially with their own cousins. And they're prevented from doing that. And so they go alone to a pumpkin patch because everything about Harry and Meghan is so disconnected from the world, from reality, because that's the only way they can exist and sell this. Because if we saw the real them without the Instagram reel on, we'd see probably a very different couple.
Brittany, the Marcus Anderson thing, though, has really ratcheted up a notch in recent weeks.
Mhm.
So we know he's back on the scene because there's a certain desperation to Meghan's reinvention. So he's going to be a big part of Meghan 3.0, and we'll talk about it later in the show. You know, Soho House is back and all of that. There's also the fact that Daniel Martin, the previous gay BFF, the makeup artist, seems to be very much on the outer because of the fact that Meghan is wanting to launch her own makeup range. But that aside, it's awfully weird, isn't it? It's awfully weird that you bring your other gay BFF who doesn't really have a particular role to all of these family events and your husband just has to put up with it.
It's really, really strange because this should be like a family moment. I get why her mom is there, but Marcus Anderson's there is like, it's just weird. He was also with them in New York. He was with her in Paris. And so it's like he's following her around. And I can't help but think, can they only exist right now with, I guess, Marcus as a buffer between them? Like that's the only thing I can think of. Actually, Nancy Sidley, the Sidley twins, shared with me that she thought Marcus was living with them. And I'm like, that would sort of make sense. But it's just, I feel like really, really a strange situation. This should be a time for kids. And I also thought it was weird that was the parents carving the pumpkins in the video. What about the kids carving the pumpkins in the video? It's just really, really seems like arrested development, just very, very strange. And so, yeah, I don't know what this reel was attempting to sell, but all it did was raise a lot more eyebrows than questions it solved. It's just very, very creepy, I think is the right word.
He's certainly right behind the relaunch, though.
Mhm.
And I mean, Brittany, there's been, and look, of course, none of us are buying into this, but there have been some notable successes, right? So, Vogue magazine, which you know Meghan has been really attempting to cover for such a long time, and she initially worked it well with Edward Enninful, then fell out with him. So Anna Wintour didn't really want anything to do with her, especially seeing Anna Wintour so close to the British royal family. But at Paris Fashion Week, she managed to sort of turn that around, and there's been these new meetings with the new editor of Vogue. And now Vogue is playing ball. And I say to Vogue, shame on you, because you're throwing your credibility out of the window now. Look at this. Duchess of Sussex and lifestyle mogul Meghan Markle made the short journey to a Montecito bookstore, keeping things classic and simple. Lifestyle mogul, as according to Taz pointed out, good one. She's had to change the company name, plagiarize that from a clothing store, copied the logo from a village in Spain. Her show has been cancelled as it was awful. And last we saw, she was holding canning tongs upside down. You jest. But this does suggest, because we know we're getting a new as ever launch this week, Brittany, and it seems to be maybe coinciding with the final episode of With Love, Meghan Either, which is the holiday special, which was filmed so long ago now. But it does seem the fact that Vogue is coming on board and signing up to this lifestyle mogul, that she is at least making some headway in this new world, thanks to the involvement of Marcus Anderson.
I don't know if I would say that necessarily, Dan, because I'm sure this is something to the effect of pay to play. So, as Meghan Markle and her PR team are ratcheting up again, and this could be why, again, she's lost her 10th PR person in the span of 5 years, is that they're really, really constantly trying to push this. But the American public is definitely much smarter than Vogue probably thinks they are, because nobody really thinks of Meghan Markle as a lifestyle mogul at this point. And I feel like and this comes from Meghan too, the overemphasizing of her brand and status as a mogul or the founder or whatever is sort of to her detriment because she hasn't earned any of it yet. It's all just meaningless titles. And so until she's earned this, I really feel like in a lot of ways it's really quite pointless because at the end of the day, she still is in the very, very early stages of trying to barely get something off the ground. And I do think this brand is obviously kind of stalling, kind of failing. She's going to try it again here with this next launch. She's actually trying to promote it this time. She didn't do that in August. We have so many varying levels of Meghan's involvement in the launching of her various products that it's like, is she interested? Is she not interested? I mean, she's had a lot of setbacks here. I don't think it's going to get any better with the seasonal holiday launch. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think at this point anything is really working. And Meghan Markle is just paying up the wazoo, which she's always done for PR to compensate for her failings. And that's just what we have here.
And Brittany, another launch for was never another attempt. I mean, I guess the Christmas market is usually more lucrative, but again, this just feels like there's this glut and there's no strategy behind it whatsoever. And as you've rightly pointed out, nothing's now selling out.
Yes, she's not selling out of anything. And even last week, she was promoting her crepes in a picture on her As Ever Instagram. Her crepes have been sold out for several weeks. Why are you promoting your crepes when nobody can buy them? I mean, that's just simple 101 business strategy there. She's still utilizing the scarcity tactic. She's not stocking correctly. And so I think what you have again is even if you have, let's say, a curious buyer, let's say they did like one of the crepe mixes or the shortbread cookie mixes. If they're not consistently in stock, well, they're going to move on because Meghan Markle has made it too difficult for people to purchase things because she's constantly trying to look like she's successful by selling out instead of actually doing the successful thing, which is keeping things in stock. It also remains unclear how exactly she's strategizing this business. We like sort of have an indication that it's seasonal, and she said that, but we also don't really have any sort of guidelines. Everything seems to be half baked. And so I think she is whoever her audience could be. She's constantly confusing them, constantly not giving them what they want. And most of the casual people are walking away and have walked away already. And she's just stuck with her fans and she's not converting anybody else to her products. And that, of course, is a failing on Meghan. And we can already see the brand damage is occurring. So she's barely off the ground. I don't even think this will last a couple of years until she gets bored, but we'll see what this latest launch is, but I don't have high hopes.
Brittany, more fallout from that event at the local bookshop with Meghan's BFF. Because as Nancy Sidley pointed out, what Meghan Markle looks like when she doesn't know the camera is there is fascinating. Look at her, furious. Yet again, she just cannot control herself. And there was a lot of focus on this mic grab incident. We spoke about that here on Outspoken last week. But just look at it, Brittany. I mean, when you look close up, there is a aggressiveness to that, isn't there?
There really is. And if you watch throughout some of the other videos and stuff like that, this supposed friend of Meghan's looked really kind of sad and kind of downtrodden as Meghan sort of took over what should have been her event. So if Meghan was really, let's say, the draw to uplift her friend, what Meghan should have done is introduce her friend and then take a seat. But no, Meghan Markle had to sit there with her, had to share what she does with her kids, and totally overshadowed this poor woman's book. And I don't know if that was the only way she could get in front of these women was to get Meghan Markle up there or what have you. But I really feel like throughout that whole thing, these people are not friends, Meghan and this woman. They knew each other at one point. I don't think they're really all that friendly. And if I had that interaction with Meghan, I wouldn't be friends very much longer with her either. She's just sort of convenient for people who need, let's say, a little bit of a publicity bump. But I just don't think it did her any favors here. And I think the woman definitely lived to regret it. I think her name was Courtney. Of course, we don't know her name because, again, Meghan can't promote anybody else but herself. And so, yeah, she took over this whole event. And this poor Courtney woman was, I think, very much kind of upset about it.
Yeah, Courtney Adamo, who's a new BFF, who we're meant to believe, has been a BFF for such a long time, but she was clearly shelved for a period. But Meghan now needs new BFFs in the world because
Mhm.
so many have been jettisoned. There was an interesting moment when this story was being told, Brittany. Again, you've got to look quite closely at Meghan's interaction, but it's really interesting. Watch.
Not only did we go to college together, we were in the same sorority together, we were meant to drive from LA to Chicago to go back to school one year.
No, we were meant to fly.
Yes, we were meant to fly.
We were gonna fly. Yes.
But no, here's why we didn't. Because 9/11 happened on that same day. And so the two of us ended up driving 30 hours over 3 days, 10 hours a day from Los Angeles to Chicago together at one of the most fragile, tender times in this country.
As Meghan's mole put it after looking at that footage, though, just look at how angry Meghan Markle gets when Courtney interrupts her. You can see the anger in Meghan, and she had to start whispering to contain herself from exploding. This is frightening, and I've actually just cut just the key little moment where that happened. So watch closely again.
Yes, we were meant to fly.
We were gonna fly. Yeah.
And Brittany, she does manage to pull herself together because she knows she's on camera, but it's that split second reaction. What have you done? Don't interrupt my story. Yeah. It's so obvious, isn't it? She's terrifying, Brittany.
She is. I definitely would not want to be on Meghan Markle's bad side. That was definitely a very tense interaction between them. And you just felt that throughout this whole conversation. And it totally changed the tone of what Meghan Markle, I guess, was trying to say. But it was just so incredibly awkward. I don't think they've probably spent much time together beyond their college years at all. But yeah, Meghan was not liking anybody interrupting her there. She was not liking anyone interrupt her story. And again, you got to wonder, this is about Courtney promoting her book. And yet somehow they're talking about 9/11. And of course, everything Meghan does has to be over dramatized at this point. So I don't know how much I buy that story. But they had to, like, Meghan always has to be dramatic, and it was an unnecessary story. And I would like to see the further context of that, but I feel like Courtney's book, which is about like families and home, that has nothing to do with that, because Meghan wanted to share stories about Meghan, and that's what she did.
Oh, she did. I mean, Brittany, I know it's cringe, but I've got to get your reaction to and again, it's so bizarre, isn't it, that this was promoting her friend's book, and yet Meghan's bigging herself up to be this great lifestyle woman. But in fact, her solution as a lifestyle woman is just not to serve the people who come to her house. Watch this.
I love people being able to serve themselves and having things on the stove that everyone can help themselves to. So yes, for example, you could say, "Hi, can I get you a cup of tea?" That's a lot of work if you have 6 to 8 people coming through. You could equally say, "Oh, on the stove, there's a pot of spiced cider brewing, and there's a whole tray of mugs there. Help yourself. Take your shoes off, get cozy. Board games are out."
Good tip.
Yeah.
That's such
All
a
of
good
those
tip.
things where it just creates ease. And what is the one thing you want to feel in someone's home is ease. If you as a hostess are dolled up and dressed up for a really fancy dinner that you're having at your house, well, if you still answer your door barefoot or with your apron on, everyone goes, "Oh, she's still in this with me." It takes a lot. It just demystifies this pressure and the feeling. But equally, I would say for us in our house, those top tips of allowing people to be part of the community, of taking care of themselves, and do your prep. Oh my gosh, you can get so much of that stuff done the day before. Get a tray with mugs on it and sit it right on the counter. You have that brewing, not like the hot toddy or spiced cider on the stove. Not only does it take the pressure out for you of having to serve everyone, it also makes your house smell incredible. People walk in, I told you I love fragrance. People walk in, they go, and what are they drawn to? Your kitchen. They come right in, and suddenly everyone is a little bit softened in the experience of entertaining.
Oh, Brittany, make it stop, but I need your reaction to that.
Oh my gosh, I remember seeing that, and I remember going, she has a TV show about hosting. And yet she wants to tell her guests, oh, get what you want from the kitchen, do whatever. I don't care. Like, it's sort of terrible hosting because part of being a hostess is actually serving other people. And there is something I think sort of beautiful in that process of being willing to serve, even if, yes, you have 6 to 8 people, that's a lot of work. Meghan obviously hates work, and so she doesn't want to do it.
We know
But
that
we know that for
in
sure.
every
But
aspect of life.
and so she could host people. She could actually help them, and she doesn't. And what's the actual real surprising thing there, Dan, is that she's having people get stuff off a hot stove. That's actually a liability. She could get sued if like the pot falls over, they spill something on themselves because she's making them do all the work and they could get burned or something. Like, do they know how her stove works? And so it's just a simple thing of if I went into some random person's house and they're like, oh yeah, my thing is on the stove, go get it. And I'm like, but if it's like hot and it's like, I don't know how your stove works, there's a risk there. And Meghan is making people take that risk when she could just do the simple thing of serving them. And this woman's level of prep for hostessing people is putting mugs on a tray.
Yeah.
And
the day
again,
before.
she has a whole show about hosting.
The day before. I know. It's bonkers. And of course, she's also just navigating through another lie, which is, of course, she does have staff within the house who do all of this for her anyway. So that's obviously not mentioned either. And actually, speaking of Meghan Markle and lies in regards to staff, so you remember last week, we learned about her 10th communications executive in 5 years being, well, how should we put it? Being bullied out of her role, although we obviously haven't heard this from her direct, but it's such a long track record of this happening. But the line from Team Archewell, Team Sussex was, we were just bringing in this woman from Netflix just to work on a project basis. It's like, hang on a moment, that was not true. That's not how it was ever pitched. And actually, Lauren, the insider, was able to prove that by tracking down to Forbes the initial announcement, right, which was headlined Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's communication team expands. And it was reported that Emily Robinson, that's the woman who's now departed after less than 3 months, was recently brought on board as the Duke and Duchess's director of communications. And it bigged her up for her 20 years of experience working at Netflix too, all of her previous jobs. Not one mention in that official announcement to Forbes magazine, Brittany, that this was a project-based role. And let me tell you, you don't announce a project-based role. If someone's only going to be there for a matter of weeks, you don't even bother to announce it. So again, it's just another lie. And the thing is, this lie might be a small lie, right? But at some point, don't you actually have to realize that nothing that comes from either Archewell or the Sussexes personally is ever anchored in truth, because they can't even accept that this role that you announced was not what you then try and say it is when it's all turned to muck after just 12 weeks.
Harry and Meghan, of course, always have to massage the truth in like a very exceptional way, because probably the truth of the matter is that this woman came in, wanted to try to help them, realized they can't be helped because Meghan cannot help herself. She constantly sticks her foot in the mouth. Harry also runs his mouth. Neither one of them can kind of have the self-control and discipline to rein themselves in. And so there was no future. And we also have the interesting aspect of With Love, Meghan season 2 had dropped during her tenure, and Meghan didn't promote season 2 at all. And so it should not have been a surprise as season 2 completely and utterly tanked. I don't think Meghan would have helped it much. And, you had the question of, was Meghan doing like plastic surgery or something behind the scenes, which is why she wasn't actually promoting her own show or the second launch of her products. But that second season tanked completely. But of course, the writing was always on the wall for that. Meghan's series weren't good. And so she probably left because things failed, and she has to deal with the fallout of Meghan blaming her for Meghan's own failings. And you don't bring somebody with 20 years of experience in. The same thing happened with the guy who was supposed to be Prince Harry's chief of staff. You don't bring in these highly accomplished people and just give them a side project. These people can help transform you. They can help you manage the world Harry and Meghan live in, but they chase off all the very competent people because all they want are people who say yes to them. And unfortunately, I think her name was Emily Robinson, did not want to say yes to Harry and Meghan, so she had to leave. There was no other option. You either say yes or you're gone to Harry and Meghan.
100%. Brittany, the big news in terms of the deepening Prince Andrew scandal overnight is this Sun report described there as 2 pads Andy, and it's because apparently he's demanding the former homes of both William and Harry, one for him and one for Fergie, if he's going to move out of Royal Lodge. Now, this reporting from Matt Wilkinson, the Sun's royal editor, Prince Andrew and ex-wife Sarah Ferguson have agreed to leave Royal Lodge but want 2 homes in return. Andy demanded Harry and Meghan's ex-Windsor had Frogmore Cottage in exit talks with palace bosses. Fergie is lining up nearby Adelaide Cottage after William and Kate leave next month. A friend of the pair said no one is really sure how it's going to go down at the palace yet. He is realistic and knows the writing is on the wall and that his time at Royal Lodge is up. William and Kate are due to leave Adelaide College next month. Neither house would need renovations or cost taxpayers more on security as they lie within the Windsor Castle security perimeter. Talks are said to be continuing on how much rent Fergie and Andrew would be charged. The friend added, Andy is willing to leave, but these are his demands. Now, Brittany, I take a nuanced role on all of this, but what I just do not understand at all is how this will quell the growing drumbeat that the royal family has not done enough to deal with Andrew. It's like, okay, so you're out of Royal Lodge, but you're still in 2 luxury accommodations. I mean, Frogmore Cottage, remember, was where Harry and Meghan lived. And do you remember all of the controversy? Because they paid it back, but at the time, we, the British taxpayer, paid millions and millions and millions for this renovation to turn it into this beautiful sort of like Soho House style residence. So I just don't really see how moving from there's this absolute desire to get Andrew out of his home. He just has to be got out of his home. I don't really understand how that solves anything. And I don't understand how this particular scenario solves anything at all. Because the idea that the British public are going to be happy to keep on putting Fergie up in Adelaide, I just think it's not going to help. I just don't see this as the solution.
No. And when it comes to these homes, Frogmore Cottage has been sort of earmarked as Andrew's sort of like downsizing for at least, I want to say, a year now. That has been in discussion. So Andrew acting like this is suddenly his idea is a little funny because this has been talked about for a long time. But when it comes to Fergie, I looked it up because I was curious this morning, and she's 66. So I believe a 66-year-old woman should be able to afford her own home at this point. She had done some investing in a couple of flats in London somewhere. So she should have an accommodation to stay in. It's not really the British people's jobs to give her a house. She and Andrew divorced in 1996 now. So it's been 30 years. She should be able at this point to find her own housing. If she can't, that is a Sarah problem. That is not a British taxpayer's problem. But Andrew definitely does need to downsize. Frogmore Cottage, obviously it's nice, but it's sort of appropriate. It does keep him within the security perimeter. But I think the question of titles and how rogue royals should be dealt with needs further discussion within the government, because this problem is bad now. You're going to be dealing with it again in 30 years with Prince Harry, I would guess. And so it's better to figure out how to deal with this now rather than letting it linger and dealing with it once again.
Indeed. Well, we will keep across it, of course, as will you, Brittany. And if you do want a whole load more.
The Duchess of Sussex has delighted fans worldwide by sharing a rare and heartwarming glimpse into her family life. In a short video posted on social media, Meghan Markle captured a joyful day out with Prince Harry and their 2 children at a pumpkin patch in California. The clip opens with a soft golden autumn light as little Archie and Lilibet run happily between rows of bright orange pumpkins. Their laughter fills the air, while Prince Harry follows behind, ready to carve one of the giant pumpkins. Meghan, holding the camera, pans across the scene to capture the smiles and laughter of her family before adding a simple message wishing everyone a happy Sunday. Viewers were quick to notice how much the children have grown. Archie, now about 6 years old, is seen helping his father scoop out pumpkin seeds, while little Lilibet, around 4, toddles nearby in a cosy pumpkin-patterned jumper. The heartwarming footage arrived only days after reports circulated suggesting that Prince Harry might want to educate his children back in the United Kingdom. According to sources close to the family, the Duke has been considering how best to connect his children with their royal roots. However, palace representatives later clarified that there are no current plans to enrol Archie at Eton or any other British school. Royal commentators have noted that this could become a point of discussion for the couple in the future. Observers say that Meghan often takes the lead on family decisions, and her views on traditional boarding schools might influence the final choice. This new family moment follows another recent post from Meghan, shared earlier in the month on the International Day of the Girl. In that short clip, her daughter Lilibet was seen running through a garden while Meghan encouraged her off camera. Public appearances of the Sussex children have been extremely rare. Lilibet, in particular, has only been seen a handful of times, including during her Disney-themed birthday celebration in June, when the family was spotted enjoying a ride on Space Mountain. The new Pumpkin Patch video offers one of the most candid looks yet into the Sussexes' family life, relaxed, playful, and far removed from royal formality. It paints a picture of a couple enjoying simple moments of joy with their young children, embracing a quiet and down-to-earth life under the California sun.